Can you hear me good? Good morning and welcome to the 83rd annual meeting of Florida Keys Electric Co-op. It is our honor to be here to celebrate with you in person, our members. In the back of the auditorium in the front lobby, there is minutes from the April 8, 2008 meeting for you to read. Now, before I call this meeting to order, I'd like to thank Coral Shores High School Principal Laura Leotard and her staff for her help and the use of this auditorium once again. All right. Now, it is my honor and privilege to call to order the meeting of the Florida Keys Electric Cooperative. Can you please rise and join me in saying the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, now I'd like to introduce you to our board secretary, Ms. Gretchen, Holland.
I, Gretchen Holland, do here certify that I am the duly elected secretary of the Florida Keys Electric Cooperative Association, Inc., and that is provided in the bylaws of the cooperative. A notice of the annual meeting to be held at Coral Shores High School, Plantation Key, Florida, was mailed in Jacksonville, Florida on March 25th, 2024 to all members of record that were on that date. In witness thereof, I have hereunto subscribed my name as secretary and affixed the corporate seal of the cooperative on this 13th day of April, 2024.
Thank you, Gretchen. Now, is there anybody that has any additions or corrections to the minutes from the April 8, 2023 meeting? All right, not hearing any, the minutes will stand as presented. It doesn't like me. Okay, now I'll introduce you your board. Okay. If you don't mind, Steph, you can click it. Thank you. It does not like me. First, we have Michael Puto, our Vice President, representing District 4 Marathon. Michael is our longest-standing director with 31 years served. He served as secretary for 18 years before being elected Vice President in 2019. Next, we have Cale Smith, our treasurer, representing District 3 Alamorada. Cale was first elected to the board and appointed to the board in 2014 and then elected in 2017. And then he's been re-elected in 3-year increments. You just met our board secretary a moment ago, Ms. Gretchen Holland. She was first appointed, she represents District 1 Key Largo. She was first appointed to the board in 1999. She served as board vice president from 2005 and until 2018, and then in 2019 she was elected board secretary. Now the remaining board members representing District 1 Key Largo is Dr. Jim Bellini. Doc was first appointed to the board in 2004. He was elected in 2005. He served as our board president in 2013 until 2019. Also representing District 1 Key Largo is David Ritz. David was appointed to the board in 1999. He served as our board president from 2005 until 2013. Next, we have representing District 2 Tavernier, Craig Belcher. Craig actually served 5 years representing Key Largo before moving to Tavernier, where he has served the last 19 years as Tavernier's representative. Also representing District 2 Tavernier is Joe Roth. Joe was appointed to the board in 2017. He was elected in 2018 and has run a re-election in 3-year increments as well. Representing District 3 Islamorada, Mr. George Hertel. George was first elected to the board in 2004 and has been re-elected in 3-year increments as well. And finally, me, Captain Carl Wagner. I represent District 4 Marathon, your board president. I was elected in 2004. I was elected vice president in 2018 and then president in 2019. We have some other important people up on the stage with us today. First, we have Ms. Maddie Ruth Scroggs from our accountants firm, Nicholas and Calling Associates. We have John Haswell with Wayne, Chandler, Haswell, and Cole, and they represent numerous Florida co-ops. But John himself has been our board counsel since 1991. All right, now I'd like to recognize the hard work of our trust board, the Florida Keys Charitable Trust. As you know, the Trust Board is a voluntary organization that takes care of our Operation Roundup. And Operation Roundup, as you know, is where we take your dollars, round them up to the next dollar, and then that money raised is then distributed to local individuals and family in need. We're real proud to announce that we're in our 30th year, and this year alone we raised $157,053. And since the inception, $3.83 million, which $3.6 million of that has already been distributed, leaving us a little balance close to $200,000 as a war chest for those people in our community that have a need. And now it's my privilege to go ahead and recognize these individuals for their hard work and their voluntary time. And I'll start with the board first, with the board chair, Mr. Richard Overfield, representing District 2 Tavernier. With us today, representing District 3 Islamorada, but board vice chair, Ms. Sharon Wampler. Also with us today, representing District 2 Tavernier, Mr. Marlon Simon. Our secretary, Mr. Tony Mastilusa, also representing District 1 Key Largo. The rest of the trust board we have representing District 1 Key Largo, Ms. Laura Brown. District 1 representing Key Largo, Mrs. Nancy Wall. Representing District 3 Islamorada, Mrs. Mary Russell. With us today, representing District 4 Marathon, Mrs. Michelle Frank. And also representing District 4 Marathon, Uni Guerrero. And now I'd like to invite Cale Smith, our treasurer, up to give his report.
Good morning. One of the most important functions of the Board of Directors is financial oversight of the cooperative's operations. Among other things, the board is in charge of the annual auditing process. The independent auditor we use is Nichols Calling Associates, which also audits a number of other electric co-ops. At the end of 2023, like we do every year, the board asked the auditor to thoroughly review the co-op's books and then report back to us. One of the most important excerpts from the co-op's 2023 financial audit was this statement. In our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material aspects the financial position of FKEC. So your board of directors is pleased to report that our cooperative remains in a solid financial position. Here are a few highlighted numbers from our audited financial statements. On the top line of our operating statement, in 2023, FKEC recorded $102.8 million in revenue. We incurred $99.6 million in expenses, and we earned $3.15 million in margin. From the balance sheet, our net utility plant at the end of 2023 was $197 million. Our equity and debt figures there also show how the co-op has supported the growth in those assets over the last 83 years, with total equity of $77 million and total long-term debt of $123.7 million. Finally, the Board of Directors is also pleased to report that in 2023, FKEC returned $1.4 million to its members in the form of capital credit checks, bringing the total amount of capital credits returned to FKEC members since our inception back in the year 1940 to $61.4 million. Those capital credits are just one of the benefits of being a member of the Florida Keys Electric Cooperative. Thank you.
Thank you, Cale. Also, I'd like to take this time. I want to recognize the co-op's executive assistant, Ms. Susan Kohlhofer. Susan not only keeps the board in line, which she's also an integral part of the trust board, as she helps manage that as well. Thank you, Susan, very much. Now, at this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our esteemed CEO, Scott Newberry. Scott has been an integral part of the co-op since 1990. He assumed the role as CEO in 2006. I say from me and the rest of the board that we're extremely appreciative of Scott's dedication to your cooperative, okay? His team and Scott, when any challenge gets ahead of them, they put their utmost attention to it, ensuring that our cooperative moves forward. Now, it's my pleasure, Scott Newberry.
Thanks very much, Carl. Welcome everybody to the 2024 annual meeting of FKEC. I'm pretty envious that Cale was able to read his information off his phone without glasses. I can't hardly read the screen anymore without them. With these presentations, generally I kind of focus on our big three annual goals, which you can see are safety, reliability, and affordability. And then I kind of go into talking about some of the maybe major construction projects we've been working on for the year, or things that we had completed. But this year I'm going to do it just a little bit different. I will go through quickly these big three here, but then I kind of want to introduce you guys to all the employees of FKEC and the various departments we have that allow us to each year meet or exceed these goals that we work on. Safety, of course, is our #1 priority. I'm happy to say we didn't have any lost time accidents at all in 2023, and even more happy to say we haven't had any lost time accidents since March of 2001. Shows that our employees are working safe and paying very close attention to safe work practices. Our safety director, Brendan Turner, I see him back there by the door. He's in charge of our safety program, and you can see some of the stuff that he focuses on, basically, making sure everyone's trained on hazard recognition, knows how to use and when to use personal protective equipment, focuses very strongly on electrical safety and emergency response, and basically we're committed to protecting the well-being of each employee, our contractors, and you in the community as you interact with us as well. What you see on the screen there is some video of a recent safety training day we had down in Marathon, and you can see our linemen are practicing various techniques on how to extract themselves from some pretty crappy situations. Rappelling out of bucket trucks or being pulled out of manholes, hurt man rescue where they actually climb up on a pole and basically lower an injured person to the ground. That dummy up there, I think, weighs 175 pounds, so it's a real good representation of what it takes to lower a lineman from a pole like that. Reliability, we did maintain our 99.99% reliability statistic for 2023. Actually, we had a very good year reliability-wise. Our goal every year is to have you guys out of power for 60 minutes or less on average. Some people may have a little bit more, others a little bit less. You can see we were well below even half of that for 2023. Our number for that year came out at 28.9 minutes. That puts us in the top 10% of all the co-ops, over 900 co-ops in the United States. And you can see we compare very favorably to the co-ops in the state of Florida, who are average about 209 minutes out, and the nation at 232. We like to keep the lights on for you guys. Last year, I kind of look back at what I talked about. One of the big focuses last year was on affordability. If you recall, the price of natural gas has skyrocketed to levels we hadn't seen in many, many years. That is a primary fuel source for electrical generation these days. So the rates to people all throughout the country, not just FKEC, went up drastically because of that. But I did say last year that as natural gas prices begin to fall, so would our power costs back to you. And this shows that it has. This is our latest rate comparison through March of 2024. In the few months prior to this, we were number one in both the monthly cost per 1,000 kWh as well as the rolling 12 months, which averages out the last 12. We went to number two last month at $117.29, but we were still number one in the rolling 12-month average at $116.48. Just for comparison purposes, you can see that Florida Power and Light, our utility to the north, is $133 for that same amount of power. Keys Energy, which is a municipal utility that serves Key West up to the 7-mile bridge, is at $140. So our rates and costs are very favorable when compared to those guys. So now let's kind of move behind the scenes and introduce you to the people who are behind the power and who make all of this possible. I'm going to start with operations. These are the guys in the trucks, basically. You see them, they're very visible. There are our line crews, our substation crews, meter guys, right-of-way guys, and I think we have engineering included in this as well. They are responsible for basically maintaining all of the power lines we have out there, as well as our substations. You see we have about 896 miles of line in place. 100 of that is at 138,000 volts, very high voltage power. We have line guys that are trained to work on that barehand. I think the first picture you saw on that was some barehand training, and that's kind of interesting there whenever you see a load break like that. We have a total of 796 miles of distribution line and 6 substations. You see the locations of those. Basically, the substations take that 138,000 volt power, converted down to the 25,000 volt power that goes out to the neighborhoods and ultimately to that transformer in front of your house. So, a lot to keep up with. They do a great job of that, and they're the ones with all that kind of maintenance that help us maintain that very high reliability statistic. One thing I'm kind of proud of and really wanted to talk about too is that we've really started focusing more in the past few years on training linemen ourselves. We currently have 7 apprentices in our apprentice program, and basically to become a lineman, you have to work for 4 years in the profession, steadily progressing, being taught by the current journeyman and crew leaders. So it's a true apprentice, kind of the old style where the masters teach the newcomers. To get into our program, you complete a 15-week electrical line worker program at Northwest Line College. It's kind of a 15-week boot camp, a very intense introduction to line work, both book work as well as out in the field. And I really kind of wanted to point these 3 guys out. That's Isaiah, Dave, and Ralph. The top picture is them when they entered into our apprentice program, and the bottom picture is when they recently completed their full journeyman training, and they are now journeyman linemen for FKEC and for you. Very proud of those guys. Almost everything. But in order to do that, they had to go through that Northwest Line College. They have now completed 8,000 hours of on-the-job training, 4 years of coursework along the way. They had to go back to the line college each year to make sure that they were progressing where they should be, take some skills tests up there. A bi-monthly review from our apprentice committee, which is made up of both line people and supervisors to make sure they're progressing and are basically have completed the program properly. Here's our current crop of apprentices. You can see that Wyatt, Chris, Vince, and Noity, they've all just entered into that. They're in their first year of that. Brandon is our substation apprentice. He's just about to start his second year in the substation program. And then we have Mike and Chris, who are now in their final year of their journeyman program, and should soon complete that and become our newest journeyman lineman for you guys. All right, right-of-way crew, these folks have a pretty tough job. We live in a tropical environment. The trees grow 12 months out of the year. They grow fast. They grow into our power lines a lot. So we spend a lot of time trying to keep vegetation away from the power lines. They don't mix. It's like water and oil. Trees get in, cause blinks or outages. We try to trim our entire system at least once every 3 years, rotating 3-year cycle. So about 200 miles of the system is trimmed every year. We do trim our transmission system completely prior to hurricane season, and we do trim around all of our substations as well on an annual basis. I'm proud to note that these folks have allowed us to be named the Treeline USA utility for the 15th consecutive year. We just got that designation a couple of weeks ago, and that's in recognition of their proper pruning techniques that they follow, as well as their community outreach and education programs. So congratulations to our treeline. Fleet and building maintenance. The guys out in the field can't work if their equipment doesn't work. So we have actually one shop in our facility in Tavernier that maintains all of this various equipment you see here. We do have 4 boats, 25 bucket trucks, including that large EHV truck you see outside with the flag, 4 digger derricks, 68 light vehicles, 40 miscellaneous pole, wire, trailer sort of thing, and 2 office facilities that they have to maintain as well. Also, the guys out in the field can't get their work done if they don't have any materials, so we do have 2 warehouses, one in Tavernier and one in Marathon. The folks in there oversee approximately 2,000 unique inventory items, from nuts, bolts, and washers up to poles, transformers, you name it, we have it. A value of about $6 million. They're responsible for issuing that out and making sure it's tracked where it's supposed to be. And they do make sure we follow proper procurement materials to ensure best value as well as FEMA compliance. Moving kind of inside now, engineering, these folks basically draw up all the jobs that the line guys work on out in the field. You see they processed over 1,200 staking sheets for service transfers in 2023. They also close about 1,000 work orders in on average a year. They work with members and contractors on projects, including solar installation on member roofs if they'd like to. And more importantly, too, that they work to identify, evaluate, and recommend devices and technologies that will allow us to serve you better, more efficient response to outages, fewer outages. So they're always looking at the latest and greatest techniques and technologies that we can implement here to keep our service levels good. System operations. You won't see these guys. They're kind of in a bunker area of our Tavernier's operations center. But they're on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and they are basically the folks that manage power flow throughout our system. They will be the first notified of an outage. They're responsible for figuring out the scope of that outage, how big it is, how small it may be, what the probable cause is, and to get the right crews dispatched to the right locations. They can remotely control over 137 devices out in the field, from breakers to capacitor banks and many other items as well. Meter department. The meters are based on our cash registers. We have 3 guys out there that are working to make sure that they're operating the way they're supposed to be at all times. You see we have just under 30,000 residential meters that they're responsible for, a little over 5,000 commercial. We do have 233 bi-directional meters that are basically on our solar interconnected members' homes, where measure power flows both ways. If they're producing more energy from their solar arrays than they need at their house, we get it from them, and vice versa. Moving inside our offices now, customer service, finance, human resources, and IT. If you call in our offices or walk in, these are the people that you will be greeted by, and they will be the ones to take care of whatever your service needs are. They provide, I think, really good personalized hometown service. We hear that a lot. And they basically create up to about 10,000 service orders a year, so that's how much contact they have with members on an annual basis. Any service that needs to be done, a service order is created. Included with that is about 500 account changes each month. We have a lot of people that move in and move out. They have to make sure that all of that paperwork is handled properly, that the account is taken out of the former member's name and put in the new member's name. All the information is correct when they do that. They do a great job of that as well. One thing we do to try and keep up with customer service, we have an independent survey firm that will call you if you have a service interaction with us on a particular month, ask you a number of questions, and then they provide us with a report on how the response is going. As you can see, this is a 1 to 4 scale, 3.9 to 4 is all the way across the board. So that's the level of service the folks in the front office is providing you guys, as well as folks that may answer the phone in other departments. This is just a sampling of some of the comments we get from that survey each month. You can see that Scott did a great job, had great customer service. We see this each and every single month. And just to let you know, too, that report goes to the board every month as part of the board material they get for the board meetings. Consumer accounting, these folks basically are responsible for rendering all the bills to you guys, about 35,000 of them a month. They also manage kind of all the back office tasks for approximately those 10,000 service orders that are created. They track them from start to finish to make sure that the service has been completed, and then they close those out. And they do work with customer member service as well on various different items and topics. General accounting, you heard the treasurer's report earlier and how good that was. These are the folks that are responsible for keeping up all of the financial books and records of FKEC. We have a $250 million balance sheet now. We've become a pretty large little co-op these days. We have, as Cale mentioned, the revenues in excess of $100 million each year. And these folks are responsible for keeping up with all that. They reconcile and balance 4 different bank accounts each month, along with 100 balance sheet accounts. They have to balance subsidiary ledgers for accounts payable, accounts receivable, fixed assets, and deposits. They process over 8,000 invoices each year. 4,000 accounts payable checks they cut each year as well, and they track the 7,500 or so capital credit checks that go out each year. What I'm really proud of is that they are the first client that Maddie's firm audits each year, and they have quite a few co-ops they audit. We're the very first one, and we are because they know these folks will have our books closed by January 15th of each year. They'll be closed properly, and the material that the auditors need to see will be readily available to them. So that's a heck of an accomplishment. And not only that, the auditors give us a clean audit opinion every year and have for years. And I was trying to remember the last time we even had a minor audit adjustment, and I can't remember how long ago that was. So not only do we get a clean audit, the auditors don't find anything that they think needs to be changed at all in the books and records of our co-op. Human resources. We have 115 or so employees at FKEC, and all of us tend to want something just a little bit different. And so the HR department has to try and manage all those different wants and needs. They also oversee the hiring and promotion process for all of us. And the way it tends to work with us, if somebody gets promoted, that creates an opportunity for another promotion and another, so it's kind of a snowball effect. They stay very busy with that sort of thing. On top of processing weekly payroll for all the employees, they do have to administer the various benefits packages we have. They keep us out of trouble with the law. They ensure that we adhere to employment laws for both our union and non-union employees, and they keep up with our internal employee policies as well. Sherry Bolkowitz, our HR director, has the pink heart hat on. Marie there is actually the safety administrative assistant, but at that safety training day we had last week, office employees had the opportunity to go and watch that, talk with the line guys as they were going through their exercises. And they had the opportunity, if they were brave enough and wanted to go up in our 130-foot reach bucket truck out there straight up. That's Sherry and Marie doing that. And then you're looking down towards the 7 Mile Bridge down there in Marathon. That's you might be able to see some pretty white knuckles on that rail. And if you want to know why I say that, this is the view from up there. That new truck we have, typically you have like a fiberglass bucket that's enclosed and you can't see through. This is more of a mesh drape, as you can see. So when you're up there, you're looking straight down. And just for perspective, that little hard hat in that yellow circle, that is Sherry Bolkowitz standing on the ground down there. So that's how small things start looking whenever you get way up. IT. This is a growing department. at FKEC, both in number of employees and in importance. We are now nearly 100% electronic. There's very little paper that flies around the office anymore. Most of the things I sign now, I click on this link and I click on that for the date instead of signing a piece of paper. And because of that, there's a whole lot of stuff that the IT department has to keep up with. They touch just about every department of the company, and almost every employee is involved with IT as well. You see all they have to keep up with: 1,200 plus software licenses, 41 servers, 150 different network appliances, 10 data circuits, 5 networks, 165 workstations, 2 phone systems with 8 different voice circuits to it, 80 tablet devices. We have iPads that are in all of the line trucks and service trucks out there, so a lot of those service orders and work orders are transmitted electronically now instead of paper. And we have 6 drones that the IT department keeps up with as well. Their really number one focus these days is cybersecurity. I'm sure you've all seen how companies are getting hacked, customer data stolen, the various programs that the company may have being locked down and held for ransom. So the cybersecurity really is a very high priority for the IT department and for FKEC right now. Tammy Fox, our IT director, I'm not sure if she's out there today. She is one of only 30 cooperative professionals out of over 900 co-ops that have earned the new NRECA Cybersecurity Expert Certificate. So she's doing a great job, not only of keeping up with what needs to be done now, but looking into the future to make sure that we have the best cybersecurity programs and processes in place. Finally, Board of Directors. As you know, you elect them to represent you, and they do a great job of that. They not only represent you here locally, but they do so in Tallahassee on a statewide basis. You see us meeting with Rep. Mooney up there. David Ritz and Craig Belcher, that's outside of Senator Rick Scott's office in Washington, D.C. So they look out for your interests both here, statewide basis, and on a national basis. They're responsible for setting policies and organizational goals and objectives that we strive to meet each and every year. They require the proper management of all FKEC assets, revenues, and expenses, and they're the ones that really set that expectation for excellence that I and all of the employees of FKEC try to achieve. So with that, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. I want to thank the board for all that they do for you guys and the support they give us and the employees of FKEC. For sure, I'd like to thank the employees of FKEC. It's a great deal to work with them each and every day as they work to provide you with safe, affordable, and dependable power. And thank you all for being here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Now, before I call the meeting to close, on behalf of the entire FKEC board, staff, and employees, we want to thank you for joining us here today. There'll be a short meeting of the board following the raffle tickets, and the only thing standing between the raffle and y'all is me. So also, I'd like to take this time, I saw him, I did not see him earlier, so I did not recognize him, but he is coming. Our past state representative for Florida in the late 80s, early 90s, Mr. Ron Saunders, is with us today from Key West. All right, with that note, I also would like to thank once again Coral Shores High School and Principal Leotard. It's a very nice auditorium for our annual meeting, and we'd like to continue to come here. So now with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn? I got a motion to adjourn, a second by Ms. Wampler. Thank you all for coming and have a wonderful day.